and see what players they're going to be coming out with tonight. It looks like it is going to be Animu. Then we're going to have Real Mert, Mr. Taco Cat. Without the spacing, it's a little bit hard here. And then the Atom Bomb, as well as Burnt Turkey, and then Dominus Karma coming in for this roster to kind of round out, and like you said, just kind of make sure that they can finish the season.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, we got to talk about their contender to a certain degree as well, considering that we have Avalel, we got Varsity, OGB, Nunu, and Bright, which, keep in mind, with this team, obviously, we're seeing some diversity when it comes around to the scene.
We can see what the battlefield is going to look like.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be your collegiate tradition. I mean, considering that Ascent, Bind, nothing out of the ordinary. But when it comes around to Sunset, that's going to be a fun third if we do get around to it. Considering kind of what we've seen of it thus far, it does kind of fit that suite, feeling a little bit more like Ascent, considering how easy it is to rotate across the map and how small of a map it really feels. So, I mean, honestly, considering what we see with this map, I'd say every map in this rotation that has been gone ahead and picked feels all relatively similar to a certain degree for how the pacing can go here. So I'm really, really excited to see, more importantly, how these teams kind of take these maps, how much they really prioritize the flow of game and how fast they want to get these spikes down, because every single map has so much potential to have that quick, instantaneous plant go down to really speed things up.
Oh, 100% there. And on top of that, too, like, once again, map number 1, which is going to be Ascent, you know, you're going in pretty quick with things. Yeah. Just like you said, everyone knows Ascent at this point. It's one of those maps that has never changed since the launch of the beta for Valorant. And so everyone knows what you're doing on Ascent. It's just all going on, people running strats. It's super exciting, the potential of Sunset to be able to come forwards.
Yeah, I mean, already considering that we saw Sunset, we've seen it a couple times this season, so we do have a little bit of VOD to kind of go over and understand how the map works. Like I said, it feels like Ascent to a certain degree, but I mean, speaking of tried and true and traditional standouts, I would say that Ascent, I mean, keep in mind, we do have that entire composition that we're used to, but this isn't really it. We're seeing this guy being brought out instead of that KO Sova guaranteed initiator side from the side of Concordia, and we have that Raze coming out as the duelist instead, which obviously Jet's your kind of go-to 9 times out of 10. And then you got MSOE, excuse me, they are running, once again, the Fade and the Raze off the back of it. And better yet, they're running like, I mean, I don't know, lacking the Sova, going for the KO. There's a lot to work with here, but as the rounds get going as well, we got a lot of kills coming out as well, considering we've already had 2 players drop from Concordia, and MSOE would just want to bring that fight forward on the defensive side.
Yeah, such an aggressive defense there coming in from Concordia. And, well, one Omen player can do just more than enough with a simple classic. And you see that the Swords, they're really slowing down their gameplay right now. Just kind of feeling things out. They haven't even picked up the spike.
Quite frankly, I mean, you really can't blame them. You're going for this first round, looking for a little bit of a default. You lose those players early on. You're saying, you can't really push up to the certain degree that you're expecting here inside this game with the aggression that's been provided so far. And even if we see OGB get one more, quite frankly, I mean, you got to go for that spike still, but able to go ahead and find at least something to work off of. Animu could provide a window inside of this round.
Yeah, and now Spike finally going to be going down here, but Concordia, they're only reduced down to 1 player. Nunu, last person left standing, trying to take the pistol duel. It's able to actually to find that one with the classic. Still has 3 more people to kind of whittle things down against. Has a rough idea where they might be, but has to go for the drop down here. Pulls out the knife at the wrong time, and Atom Bomb finds that final kill, as that is going to be MSOE getting the first round.
Yeah, good success for them, considering, I mean, once again, we saw that aggression. They're on the attacking side, so they have all the leeway in the world, as I mentioned earlier, to kind of just put their pedal to the metal, look to get that aggression off, and just completely set the tone of the game early on. And if they can go ahead and accomplish that, you'd never know what they can be capable of. I think that's another big reason they're opting for this Raze. They just want to be fast on the site. They want to be aggressive. They want to be in the face of these opposing players, and even then, better yet, that could serve a lot of leniency for them when it comes around to that 3rd round. You're going to see the rifles come out, and then you want those Spectres to be viable. You want that Guardian to go ahead and hold its angle. You want to swing these players with multiple participants at the same time to see if you can just really at least surmount to something. But on a round like this, it just comes down for Concordia. How expensive can you make it?
Already getting contested at the back there. An excellent 0 point. Is able to at least disable a lot of that Killjoy utility. Taco Cat going into the back. Now the back site is cleared. This is a very clean take coming in from MSOE. They get that spike down. It's going to be a 5v5 retake here as Concordia gets set up.
And even you gotta look at the health pools, what's going on there. These players have mentioned you're just gonna hold on to every single gun possible, so KJ shouldn't get really too aggressive here. Everybody else,
it's aggressive.
I mean, do whatever you need to, but Raze, unfortunately, can't really get that closed out. Fade, another one falling. MSOE, even though it felt like a very clean round for the plant, the post is looking a little bit sketchy.
Now Concordia brought the weaponry, but do they know that Burnt Turkey's behind? Door falling down is going to give that information away. Running in onto site now, is able to at least find one. It's down to a 1v2 here, but OGB, she doesn't have any weapons besides just this classic 0 point as well. Gives the information away, but it's the flank from Burnt Turkey and Market that's going to make sure that MSOE, they walk away with that second round, but they were bleeding for it.
Yeah, I mean, considering they did hold on to the Guardian, that's kind of the most important resource they're going to be bringing into this next one. So, I mean, that's the one thing that can match that one-shot headshot threshold there from any distance, just like the likes of a Vandal. But, I mean, everything else, though, those Spectres could have been a little bit of a luxury to carry on to the next one, knowing that, once again, on top of the overwhelming numbers and who's going to be holding on to that gun following things up. You see Taco Cat with that ghost in hand, can't really get too much done. Just going to be there more of a sacrificial body to see if you can kind of work off those trades, pick up those rifles, and kind of make the numbers start to accumulate for yourself. But even then, more so of an actual default towards the middle of the map, you can make sure that Guardian lineup goes ahead and is at least successful for one.
Excellent first pick here. I mean, you talked a lot about this Guardian pick, and that's honestly the reason that you do that little bit more investment. You want to be able to carry that forward, is really contest against these rifles. And, well, at this point, MSOE, they just need to overwhelm with numbers.
Oh, they definitely have them. So, with 5 players alive, no real rotation to go ahead and pick up that Vandal on the other side of the map. You got a lot of confidence in yourself, saying we could just kind of do this naturally. But it comes down to where you really set yourself up. We saw the inkling of an idea go over there towards B, but once again, Burnt Turkey, you want to hold on to that gun, because if he dies, you want it to pass on to the next player, obviously. And already crossing through the middle of the map, you're saying this could be the opportunity, but what else is really there? You have a player holding on to that gun, knowing this could be a priority. So Bright could find the opportunity, knowing that the bot's there, and at least one player slaying. That's the Vandal that you didn't want to be tossed over.
Nope, you really didn't, especially given the fact that there were only a couple of classes coming in. Raze, though, really deep onto the flank. I'm not sure that they're aware of this. Burnt Turkey not looking the right way. A nice little crisp headshot as the paint shells come out as well, just to zone things out a little bit better. Spike will go down here. Atom Bomb really deep on a flank as well, as we do see Concordia get themselves around, but they're aware of this one. It's going to be Nunu being able to find that long-range duel. Finds the head of Atom Bomb there. It's a clean headshot as well. Suddenly, the overwhelming numbers from Concordia are looking a little bit better here as they re-enter onto site, looking both ways. That's going to be one Raze down, and now it's all going to fall apart. OGB looking for it. 1v2 scenario, still has this Phantom looking the wrong way though. Still not enough to get the kill. It is a trade to end things out, but MSOE, they win this bonus.
Yeah, I mean, at 3-0 start, I mean, there's nothing better you can really ask for. Obviously, 4-0, 5-0, but I mean, that first three rounds right there is the foundation for every single match. If you go ahead and get things started like that, you're locking players out of a lot of leniency, because those are the 3 rounds, keep in mind, that just kind of are required. We talk about 3 being the bare minimum when it comes around to relevancy inside of a game. When you get that right off the get-go and you can just fall asleep with a will for the rest of the match, it just makes you really feel like there's some open space available to you. A lot of open air, just take as many deep breaths as necessary. But already, better yet, to ultimates to work off the back of, those can be also employed probably during that next full buy round to really nail it in, get yourself just kind of established on the field, and look for those early picks once more, just kind of reset the entire cycle.
And so much information just gained off of that one recon bolt. You saw the entirety of MSOE have to take a couple of steps back here. Right now, they're doing a great job of controlling that information. Using a little bit more utility just to suss things out a little bit as OGB keeping it close. The satchel comes out there. But MSOE are just waiting. Got one more Prowler, clearing out wine. Not going to find anything. Now they're just biding their time, ready to go on a moment's notice.
See, if they even really want this A site, they're probably waiting for Turkey there towards the middle of the map, looking to make a play to a certain degree, see if you can get it, find a kill. But whenever it's dropped, does that go ahead and change the way the attention is moving? Do you know that's an extra Vandal now dropped on the field, where you can possibly just go somewhere else? There's a lot of questions asked, but quite frankly, consider where that spike is, where everything's kind of starting to line up. You know you get a free number off the back of it with a showstopper, and even better yet, another one to capitalize on it. You just, once again, press that W button, push yourself onto site, because it doesn't matter who's there. You got better guns at the end of the day.
Yeah, that was just kind of MSOE just really flexing their muscles onto Concordia on that last round. Nunu left in this 1v4 duel, only has that ghost there, and honestly, Taco Cat, fantastic engagement coming in off that Raze. I mean, they were down a number, but the showstopper completely changed how that round was going.
Just good cleanup there, good execution there by MSOE, just knowing what they have and just using it to the fullest degree there. As I mentioned, isn't really all that reserved when it comes around to actually pop.
Go check that out. So you know, if you're a team, you just want to get a little bit of extra prep in, right, Mick?
Of course. I mean, who doesn't want to have some more games? Doesn't want to have a little bit of what feels like scrims with stakes to them? So, I mean, you have those points, those games. That'll just get yourself prepared for a little bit more so, especially the next season that's coming up here soon with playoffs just being right around the corner. So, once again, with early aggression coming out over towards that A side, you can tell that MSOE is really, really happy to kind of take control of this A area of the map. But with a little bit more of a flex, the default that's leaning over towards that B side with only 2 players, you still know you're looking for these early matchups to see if you can kind of give an idea and look for some early rotations. Because, I mean, not to give you any assumptions about navigators, but that is very much a trend that we see out of a lot of these players.
And already, look at this. I mean, MSOE, they're ready to go in on this A site. But the smoke consistently getting flushed out there. And on top of that, too, Concordia have rotated things around. All that Killjoy utility is set up there. And look at this. They're making the rotation around. I wonder if they're going to be able to try and cross through mid. There is that Sova watching them like a hawk.
More of an owl, I'd say.
Well played.
But considering what's going on there, considering the kind of shots that are going off pretty initially, you already had that sky drop. You already had that player drop. Even in with another kill going back towards the middle, you know that B is just surrounded by sharks at this point. You found so much, and even then you're in a point of contention. You're all over the place mentally. A shot going off towards A player dropped as well. You're saying by the time they even touched the site, they've already lost 3 players, and you can only have 1 allocated to each half of the map. But with that spike going down, hearing that sound go off, you can finally inevitably say, look, let's go for this retake. Let's try to engage something, but they have 5 players, so what all can we do? Let's try and figure it out at least.
Taco Cat with very advanced angle here, just spots out the head, able to actually back away, 10 HP left. Keep in mind, there is a showstopper available, never mind, actually taken right off the play-in board. As Abby looking for something here, not able to find too much, is able to at least find 1 kill, but goes down to 2 HP only. Has an idea about where 1 might be, but it's an excellent headshot coming in. An atom bomb flying around. A team ace comes through. Sure, they drop 1, but the rest of the 4 stay alive. On top of that, too, they do a fantastic job of just paying that post plant. Look how close they are to getting some of their ultimates online now.
I mean, it's just that kind of time of the game already. I mean, this is the point where we're going to have to see Concordia. They went ahead and popped that timeout. Typically, you'd see teams wait a little bit with those now ultimates that are present inside the game to kind of figure out an idea and execution involving those a little more. Problem is, you're on the defense. You don't really have those opportunities. You don't really want to push out too much, especially if you're losing these fights. But sometimes it's a necessary risk. It's a necessary evil. A kind of switch of pace there to really catch your opponent off guard. But considering that it's going to be 6-0 by the time that's even a consideration when you don't have guns in a round like this, there's a lot of questions probably just kind of bubbling around there in the waters, figuring out when it's going to be present and when they're going to make that move. But already as it stands currently, the Hunter's Fury, the Showstopper, they're going to be plenty relevant whenever you really feel like it blowing on.
Ooh, nice little crisp headshot all the way on the other side of the map right now. Killjoy getting all that utility. The Haunt gets tossed out as well. Now they're going to be moving in onto site here, but captured 1 off guard. Able to get in a couple of bullets, and finally Atom Bomb is able to find the pick onto Nunu. So they should be able to get this plant here. It's still a 4v4 scenario. Let's see how Concordia want to play this. They like grouping up first before they move in together.
Most definitely do, but I mean already time is ticking every single time. You have at least 1 player watching these long angles with the Sheriff. Not really within 1-shot threshold, but keep in mind that Showstopper still being available there, and even then a little bit of delay with that A going off. So much damage being taken, and MSOE just choking them up back towards spawn. You can't even touch the site without dying.
And it's crazy how consistent MSOE on these post plants have been paying attention to having someone on the flank. What's also interesting too is that it's never the same agent who's actually flanking around. This time around it was Dominus Karma just coming in from the side, able to swoop things up. We've seen Burt Turkey do it, as well as Atom Bomb as well. And quite frankly, that's a very key point of their strategy. Concordia St. Paul Pink, they're not really paying attention when they go in for that retake, where they're behind, like no one is really watching their back. And that allows for so much opportunity for MSOE to be able to go in, find a couple of cheeky kills, and make the round so much more winnable.
Well, speaking of winnable, it makes it pretty easy whenever you have no utility stopping you from doing anything. So with that no command being employed pretty early on, you see the entryway going over towards the A site, and even in towards B, better yet. But already so many players mowed down. Some good exchange that say to at least get 1 there from MSOE, but Concordia once again kind of, I'd say, in a drought for resources. You got those 3 players in the back of the map that do not have an access point through the middle because your top frag, Burt Turkey, is already waiting and lurking about for 1 player to funnel in. but the second one is thankfully able to go ahead and find that kill. So 2v3, this is an extremely doable situation compared to what we've seen out of a lot of other post plans, I'd say.
Yeah, and keep in mind too, OGB does have the Hunter's Fury online. As soon as that recon dart comes available too, that could find huge information here. All that Killjoy utility though is going to be extremely annoying to be able to get through. First Nano Swarm going to be popped here. Varsity taking a look around. Dominus Karma staring down the barrel, waiting for them to come through. The time pressure is going. It is going to be a nice little headshot, but Enemu in the back is able to find that kill. And OGB just has to run for the hills. At least they can guarantee, hopefully, that MSOE will go in the spike explosion. Looks like that will be the case. GB barely able to escape with their life, but will keep that rifle as well as that ultimate available into this next round.
A little bit of stakes there being made, but even better yet, it's a round. You got to take the small wins. This is a round where you have more players standing at the latter end of it than anybody else in any other round that you've seen thus far. So, I mean, you got to kind of keep these and really just walk with a grain of salt. But as it stands right now, once again, we see another round being followed up. We already saw the Showstopper being employed earlier on, but even now in a round like this, you have 4 more to work with. And quite frankly, you need to employ them soon. Otherwise, you may not get a second ultimate at all in this entire half. And that's going to be really difficult to kind of think of, knowing that it's an entire 12 rounds to lead up into one. But already, we talk about the aggression that comes out from the likes of MSOE. And even then, Concordia Pink tried to match up with them, but I don't think the opportunity was really presented because they knew what was going on, and they didn't want to choke anything up early.
No. Look at that combo utility as well. I mean, it completely flushes back Concordia St. Paul Pink, which they were pushing forwards to try and get a little bit of information. Completely denied as MSOE basically have control of the entire map, Mick.
I think it pretty early on, too. Already pushing them towards B, getting an idea over there. Now looking towards the center. Going to transition through tree. I mean, you've already kind of checked everything off. You have a player back towards A main. You know that your half of the map, that line of scrimmage is set, and you were looking to go ahead and shoot the horses racing right now with that lockdown, looking to delay things, but not really doing too much because you see every single player pressing that W key, looking to get aggressive and just shutting it down for free.
Yeah, and just like that, they're able to take the site there. Able to force out the lockdown as well. That one is a huge boon. Now the Hawk gives all that information. Too many things to shoot there. Not able to escape, but OGB still up top here. Doesn't matter. The firing squad will come through. MSOE, they scoop up everything. GB barely staying alive, but she has to back out of this one. The terror trail as well, marking exactly where she was going. It's not too many options here. 1v4. The Showstopper available if MSOE need it, but I have a good feeling that this round is all but over.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I mean, it's one of those scenarios where still you have a couple rounds left in the half. You're just tempted to go for it, quite frankly, to just find something. Even if you can get one player, that's more of a reward, and I'd say just go ahead and get off the back of it. Problem is, you're not fighting one player. If you swing even the tiniest bit over to the inch to the left, you're going to be facing 3, 4 maybe. So it's a little bit of a risk to be taken, and you go ahead and face your consequences at the end of the day. But regardless, you're going to see that following up once more. It's MSOE just carrying along. This is not the result, as I said, I expect out of a lot of teams. You're kind of choosing that first map, hoping to have yourself a little bit of an establishment. But even then, MSOE, just seeing the way that they're winning this, it quite frankly just seems like it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so tough at this point. Concordia's back onto a save yet again. A couple of sheriffs coming into this round, 3 of them, as it looks like they look to rush out of A. Take a lot of mid-presence, a lot of smokes being invested very early on, but the information is given away. This could be MSOE just walking through, and it's exactly what it is going to be. Dominus Karma finds a nice little 3K just at the top of that round, and Concordia have no choice but to back off.
Such a big shutdown, one player catching off immediately the majority of your team. It just feels like at that point already all things are lost. Consider that you're doing with nothing, working with the classic, and now you're setting up a player for an ace. I mean, this isn't a highlight clip section, Chief. This is an actual match underway, but it doesn't really matter in the slightest because Turkey's going to go ahead and say it doesn't really matter. You're right. I'm going to find that last kill instead. We're not going to worry about any aces. So knowing that even then another round underway, MSOE are 1 round off from that double-digit checkpoint chokehold kind of scenario, but quite frankly, you typically see at least 1 or 2 rounds surmounted from the other side to show that presence here in the game. And that's just kind of lacking here in this one thus far. So we'll see what can happen here going forward. Maybe Concordia will have an outstanding attacking side when everything kind of switches up, but as it stands for the moment, I mean, man, once again, you're kind of on that point to where if you lose this one with these rifles, the next is going to be an eco, and their ecos haven't really been all that outstanding.
No, they really haven't. I mean, you just take a look at the scoreline, and that should be more than enough information for you there, as MSOE now also do have 3 ultimates. Once again, GB still has that Hunter's Fury online. The Seekers will be able to be online as well. Could be good information here, but actually MSOE really just kind of playing things slow, picking up that ultimate orb as well. The spike is all the way back, but like you said, Mick, they scoop this one up, hit double digits. It's not looking good for Concordia.
Even it's a massive split across the map. I mean, you're not looking for too much aggression, right? I mean, you have 2 players over there toward Day. They're going ahead and finding necessary picks, and I bet you that Concordia is freaking out, knowing that they're already losing players and taking fights everywhere. They're not quite sure where the actual spike's being taken, where that objective's going to be, where they can find a little bit of a cutoff. And they're not even challenging towards mid, because, I mean, they're not winning those matchups to a certain degree to say, look, we can win long range, when you're not even really winning short range with these Phantoms in hand. So it's a little bit of a rotation. Once again, going underway. You saw the player go ahead and back up a little bit. See if you can find the leeway towards A. But quite frankly, when you see a body, you're expecting, I'm going to go ahead and take that thing out. When it just doesn't go according to plan.
Yeah, oh, okay. Hey, Bright's able to at least shut down Dominus Karma.
Seconds left.
Of course, the res still available online, but at this point, MSOE, they don't really need to do that. They've got the pure number power to be able to do so. Bright's still watching things close by that null command, but look at that. Showstopper comes out.
Yep.
Bright can't escape. And MSOE, they find that 10th round.
As I mentioned, just going ahead, working off each other, as you mentioned earlier, just kind of the way that they play each individual role and swap things up across the map, even then having a raise in the back of the line when everybody's just finding kills so efficiently, you can kind of forget about players' roles at that point. It just says who's a little bit more confident about roaming on their own because they know they can win those gunfights or those ones, who's going to find themselves a little bit of a flank because the game doesn't feel like they're really encountering too many actual picks face to face, so you can just kind of lean into that play style if you want to for a round. It creates a whole kind of eccentric of chaos looking at MSOE, but I mean, it's chaos that works. It's chaos that's controlled and better yet communicated. So everything's looking fine so far. Once again, another round going away here for MSOE. Full buy to work with. Concordia, though, this is probably going to be their last chance, considering that this is going to be their eco round once more, but these ultimates need to be popped eventually.
Ooh, Burnt Turkey, able to find one. Nunu, though, swinging out. Nice, close, and comfortable, but doesn't matter. It's all falling apart on the other side of the map. Keep in mind as well, Dominus Karma still in this little pocket just at the bottom of A. I don't think that Nunu knows that that is going to be the case. MSOE get themselves set up yet again. Taco Cat marking out where exactly to exec. And look at this Concordia. They're looking the wrong way. The exec is going to be coming through now. They're going to be shutting that door wide on them. Their faces there. Nunu finds the timing, but can't quite secure the kill now. But that spike will be able to go down.
Just makes you hear bullets, know exactly where they are if you do kind of have to look for that flank or whatnot. But hearing that Vandal go right back towards the center of the map to shut down that door, you know nobody's on the flank anymore. You don't have to check that. Attendance has been made. You know where these players are. You know they're all kind of looking for that retake. So once again, Animu has that free leeway to go ahead, get the lineup, and knock these players down. So an 11th now here for MSOE, and it just seems like we're going to keep going.
I mean, yeah, at this point, it's very likely that we might be able to see that 12-0 half. Just quite frankly, MSOE, they're feeling so much more confident on their attacking part of everything. They're so confident in taking those gun duels, looking for those opportunities, and generally speaking, they're able to win those ones out. I mean, regardless, though, this is going to be the last round here. Concordia St. Paul Pink at least able to scrape together a buy. We'll have full rifles going into this next one. I think they just need to play a little bit more patient and try to use their utility to space out MSOE a little bit more. If they can pick up this first round, sure, the scoreline's not going to look great, but you need to get that momentum going.
And you could also look at 3 possibly for the next one if you do on that pistol. Those are all always kinds of a little bit of toss-outs. With the stand so far, MSOE, you could find yourself an initial pick, but you got to think about that player who's trapped and who's going to be there for the backup, and we get 3 players. It's an easy swing to just kind of go ahead and unload these magazines. So sure, you have a player that's sitting pretty low, but that's the one you're throwing out into the grave. That's the one you're looking to say, look, we can get the initial pick off of. And even though it was by affiliation to third party, it was still accomplished nonetheless.
Already, look at this. We're seeing something as we've seen in most of these rounds. MSOE, they initially poke at prod and immediately go for that rotation through mid.
Revealing area.
And once again, Concordia more or less giving that one up. It's an excellent little piece of information there, but the Prowler is going to get it. Doesn't matter though, Nunu able to find one with that Nano Swarm as the lockdown. Going to try and stall for a little bit of time, but if you're MSOE, you're more than happy to retake that space onto mid. Burnt Turkey, oh no, strikes from below and able to find that one, but can't quite find the lockdown here. Uh-oh, if Varsity steps out as well and loses their life, things start to fall apart. Dominus Karma already so far forward, and it looks like this is unprecedented aggression coming in from MSOE. Swords, Varsity looking for it, but Animu able to find one. GB able to trade that one back, still has that Hunter's Fury online, but it is going to be MSOE now. The backstab from Burnt Turkey is too powerful, and this is looking like their 12th round.
It most definitely could be. It may not be already with one player available. I mean, the one on site only having 1 shot to their name. You got to see if the double lineup will come through, and it does. Good God, what a shot by Animu. Good stance, good way to go ahead and close out that half, find yourself that last round. As we talked about earlier, you got to think about how many resources were available, all those ultimates, but it seems like only one was really employed in that round with the lockdown to buy a little bit more time, but it didn't really force too much of an actual retreat. It just seemed as more as a rotation, as you mentioned, just pushing for somewhere awkward. Say, why not just take it right to the middle and possibly push spawn? And that's what they went for, to see what area would have really cleared up.
Yep. 12-0. A long road ahead of Concordia, St. Paul Pink. Meanwhile, MSOE Swords just need one more round. The map will be theirs. Of course, this was their map pick. And like we said before we got into this one, if you're picking Ascent, you've got to be pretty confident on this one. Next up, we do have Bind, which would be Concordia's map pick. Don't want to foreshadow, feel a little bit too grim just quite yet. As Concordia, they start to make their way up, pushing a little bit more aggressively on mid presence, leaning A.
Slow and steady here, a little bit different. Once again, that's how these pistol rounds work. Look to see what opens up for your team, see what you can accomplish there pretty early on, and MSOE once again able to sniff out something fairly quickly. So, especially knowing the kind of collaborative efforts of the squad, how they get their shots off. You see once again players swapping out positions towards the middle of the map when they have to rotate. I mean, it just seems like MSOE had good communication here, and already with the confidence of the rest of this match, you're expecting to just kind of roll this thing over as they do once again. This will be the match. Go ahead in conclusion. MSOE sitting 13-0 for the entirety of it. I mean, we talked about the confidence and what has to be employed when you go to Ascent, and good God, do they not live up to that.
I mean, taking a look at map number 2, which is their map pick. So you know that they gotta have something cooked up in here. If not, a little bit more familiarity, a little bit more comfort coming in. And those couple of elements really make a difference when you're playing Valorant.
It most definitely does, and even then I'm kind of a little bit curious to see what the compositions are going to look like here. I mean, a little bit of a differential once again. I mean, on the side of Concordia, obviously, the kind of tried and true, that one trade out we're seeing is that KJ coming in for what would typically be a Cypher, but everything else on the side of MSOE, they're going to look for mostly the same thing as well, but instead employing that Yoru coming out instead of just a straight-up duelist. I would say Yoru I always kind of classifies as pseudo-duelist to a certain degree. It feels a little bit more like an initiator, with all the flashes that are available and how it can kind of clear that space and whatnot and give the information necessary with this ultimate. But even then, when you see the Yoru come out, it's typically alongside another duelist. So you do have that actually role fulfilled, and you have those damage ensuing abilities to kind of open up these opportunities and bring that pressure. Yoru just seems like a lurking ability that just kind of doesn't really threaten you too much.
No, 100%. I mean, well, to be fair, a lot of people just trying to run the Yoru, and so I think this is one of those opportunities that you just gotta kind of give it a shot here. But you know what? When you're hitting shots like that, Mr. Soccer Cat doing absolutely fine. Concordia will be able to at least find one pick here. Varsity has to be careful. A lot of damage immediately coming in and just on the other side of the smoke, but this push more or less gets stalled out completely. It's going to be up to the Viper for St. Paul to be able to kind of push forward, get a little bit more space, and allow for that teleport to happen.
Which even, I mean, you got so many players there. I mean, already split for the 2-2. So, I mean, every single corner's already checked. Every single site still has 2 players remaining. They don't have to rotate for this allocation. And more so, it just comes down to the pressure for Concordia. What are you going to do? You're going to collect yourselves? You're going to go for that 2-1 split? Or you're going to find the window and just entry on the site? Well, even then, with that Viper being sanctioned over there towards the A site already, not only just for the side of the attackers with the defense, that's going to choke you up to even look for an entryway, even though you've already lost so much.
Already, the Swords, they've got their defense ready to go, looking more like shields right now as Concordia, their hand is going to be forced. They have to engage onto this one. Bright going to be the first person moving through. Spots at least one here. Can't get the opportunity to get that spike down as Soccer Cat finds one. Animu and the rest of the gang just swarms through. Saybug, the last person left standing. Not a lot of information, not a lot of time, and the spike is down in not a great position here. Gonna try to make this one happen, tosses it out, looking for something, but gets caught off guard. Animu getting that final pick, and just like that, the MSOE Swords get the pistol yet again.
Yeah, I mean, just start things off once again pretty darn strong. Not too many players remaining like we saw in the last time, but hey, I mean, still enough there to go ahead and have a presence and have a round win on your back as well. So once again, to start considering that MSOE, they won every single pistol on that last map. That should be at least a trend that we see to a certain degree, because a pistol round kind of confidence is something that you just, when players get it, they get it, and it just kind of clicks for them. So once again, locking that thing down, we're seeing a massive purchase rolling out off the back of it. The Ares, I thought the Omen was going to be standing there for a second, but maybe just settle with the Guardian, because it worked in that last map. So don't get too crazy about it and make that player kind of hold something wide. Once again, it was the Omen last time. It's the Brimstone this time, and better yet, as a little bit of a cherry on top, hey, it's a spike there as well.
Yeah, Nudu able to get that one away in time. But I'm looking at Karma right now. This is not going to be a great situation. One way goes up as well. They're just poking and prodding. Nothing really going. Is actually Burnt Turkey on the other side. Just with that Guardian. Makes it look nice and easy. Finds a nice little 3K. Spike has not been able to leave A long. And now Mr. Taco Cat going to be going in pretty deep here. The flash is going to be immaculate. Scoops up one, scoops up two, and it's a flawless round coming in from MSOE Swords.
Not nearly as good as the second round from what we saw in that first map already. I mean, still MSOE now having a flawless on their back, and not 2 in a row, keep in mind, but pistol rounds can be kind of throwaways for players. It just came down to Burnt Turkey. Every single player seemingly wanted to fight him on the field right towards that long where you know the Guardian is, but even then it wasn't by kind of like a team effort. It was a 1v1 kind of scenario every single time, where keep in mind, you're working with pistols. You're working with no armor. You're working with just economy, and you're just working with utility, hoping that that can be enough for you if you feel like the opportunity presents itself. The problem is when you're going ahead and swinging B long, you get that spike down, you are in and out. Quite frankly, you just hold that position and just look to go next and see where else you can find that presence, because that money that goes down from the spike is being a heck of a lot more beneficial than the singular Guardian, I'd say.
Poking and prodding. Not finding anything just quite yet. Saybug able to move forwards. Doesn't spot out the camera there because it's not active. That area is just ready to go at a moment's notice. The Sky Smoke going to be coming down for Burnt Turkey. Slow things down a little bit. Trailblazer gets invested as well. We really see Concordia bide their time. Abby has to be the person to initiate into here. But you can just tell they're so timid to try and do anything. A molly going to be dropped as well into the Sky Smoke. And that completely just halts the push here, giving plenty time for MSOE Swords to get themselves set up. Concordia, they're not getting themselves set up for a good position.
Yeah, I mean, already looking for these 1v1 kind of scenarios again, but even then, Burnt Turkey is the one that you want on the site. As that Guardian to employ, can get those single shot kills off. You had the Viper wall there to just kind of look for all these Ares and Spectres to spray through to look for some kind of presence. But even then, speaking of presence, it's not there on the attacker side anymore. Quick TP to the other side, a little bit of delay made. You're hoping they'll step in that snake bite, look for some vulnerability, and find yourself some pretty easy shots. And once again, with that vulnerability, that's exactly what it does.
Yeah, and now we're down to this 4v4. Takukat, though, still somehow able to stay alive. Gets caught with the flash in hand. Will be able to go down here, but look at this. Anabu creeping on the back. And now there's not enough time for them to safely get that plant down here. Has to go for the swing, but MSOE Swords, they read them like a book. Rotated so quickly around, and we're ready to hop upon them as soon as they made their way onto site.
Another 3-0 start, man. That's just one of those things where, I mean, the first time it happens, you pick up and, yeah, you dust yourself off. Say that's a little unfortunate. When it spirals into a 12-0, you're saying, wow, that's not how we expected it to go. But then when it happens again, now there's an element of PTSD here in the lobby for the likes of Concordia Pink. I mean, it's already happened once, and even then this is your map pick. But, I mean, even then once again, I mean, it feels like a universal pick. It feels like it's nobody's pick but everybody's pick. And knowing that bind should be somewhat of a specialty, and they've already kind of flipped that on its head. I mean, you got ample time to do something being on the attacking side where you can kind of control the game a little bit. But man, with how fast they're trying to go here, it just seems a little bit difficult considering that once again, the guns just get bigger and bigger and bigger against them.
Yeah, at least able to get that ultimate orb online. Been a fan of how Concordia have used their ultimates to at least, you know, put the fear in MSOE Swords and get a couple of picks, quite frankly, off the bat. They just need to they need to stick the landing, and I think that that's where some of the issues might lie here. Concordia getting themselves ready to go, only on these pistols here. Animu's starting us out with that very first pick, has to back up based on that swarm grenade. Should allow Concordia to be able to move forwards here, but regardless, the rest of MSOE Swords are getting themselves in position. Bright has to cross safely, and will be able to get that spike down, but it's not without a casualty. Saybug falls.
I mean, every single time that spike goes down, I mean, you're going to see these MSOE players just swing.
Oh my goodness.
Literally push the ever-living stew out of that spike and not get the opportunity. Even if you're by yourself, that's a free pick. If you're with two people, you're saying, hey, they're on an eco, that's 2 free picks. They're just giving us more. Try to protect these guys as much as possible. We're going to be throwing 2 or 3 at the spike as well. So go ahead and meet your maker kind of scenario going on there. So with 4 players remaining for a 4-0 start here once again by MSOE, I mean, they are just chugging themselves along. But once again, you get to this scenario where you're saying, look, we have ourselves an opportunity again. We can kind of save things up. And even we have a little bit of leeway with this loser bonus now. So even then, with the kind of half armors coming out, which I got to say is a little bit confusing there. Regardless, I mean, they're saying, and maybe it's just not even worth the full armor. And we could save that up and maybe have another buy back-to-back to kind of catch them off guard.
Let's see what they want to do this time. We need to see a little bit more innovation coming in from Concordia St. Paul Pink because they're consistently getting stalled out just before their attack moves in. And that's giving MSOE Swords so much time to get themselves set up. A nice little lineup there, able to get that smoke up and ready to go just in case they want to push forwards onto there. And it looks like that will be the call. Animu just on the other side. Showstopper gets activated here, and Abby looking for it, goes into the right position, but the Showstopper just falls a little bit short now. And look at this, an orbital strike, going to be flushing them out. Abby cannot escape their burnt turkey with an excellent read.
Massive reaction there, better yet. I mean, just going ahead, immediately getting that thing down to the extent where you know a player's pretty deep when they're trying to get that shot up, that they're not even just walking to be able to make it out safely. But still, a great 2 kills guaranteed there by Yoru, backing things up, immediately kind of just clapping back, but more so even then providing the opportunity for 3 players to be alive to go ahead and go for this retake here on the B side. Looking at the health pool of these players, MSOE may actually suffer around here, with Yoru being the last one standing. Taco Cat has to clutch things up a little bit, has a dimensional drift to kind of get it done if you feel like it, for at least to find the information necessary if you want to kind of pull off a trick play here. But you want to go ahead and at least bait out that spike first and foremost.
Nope. Yeah, not going to be the case there. Honestly, a good call for Bright to be able to stay on the site there. Make sure that as soon as that Yoru hops down, you're ready to punish it, because you're not expecting someone to be playing that close. Dodges the flash, able to just find the kill. Nice and easy. That is Concordia St. Paul Pink finding the first round in this entire match.
Let's go. Maybe it took a whole map, but I mean, it happened eventually. Better late than never. And even then, maybe in terms of the map as well, sitting already at 4-1. But I mean, considering that once again, those rough starts really just kind of put you in a position where you're saying, man, it's going to take a while to bounce back from this, quite frankly. We're going to have to buy up. We're going to have to accomplish what we can. But until we get, like, say, maybe an ultimate or just find ourselves the numbers working to our favor, it's a pretty good look. And with no Sky there on the side of MSOE, it just makes things a lot more just kind of impossible once the health pools are down. But speaking of health, Atomic Bomb was hell.
Yo, in a bad position there. Nunu ready for the punish. At least is going to be the Viper down. A lot of the defensive smokes get taken out. They only have to rely on what Brimstone brings to the table, which is going to be 3 there. Nunu spots out yet another one. Not really confident in taking that push, but at this point, I think, well, MSOE Swords, they know exactly where this is going. Ominous Karma, gets caught by one of the Seekers here. Still just hanging out, has this one way to play around, as Saybug has a little bit of an idea. Finally, the very slow advancement forwards will creep forwards or not, actually. They're calling for a teleporter strat. They're moving around here. They just got to watch out for Taco Cat. Taco Cat almost finding a timing here onto Nunu, but then decides to back off. Is going to get a timing there. Drops the spike down as well. Able to actually get out of fire too, which is a huge on this one. Regardless, we should be seeing okay, yep, Abby able to find one as well. The dimensional drift going to be activated. Taco Cat finds one, but immediately gets shut down. The spike goes down here. A 2v2 scenario now. This could be yet another round as Nunu backs off. They have those swarm grenades set up and ready to go. It's going to be up to 2 on MSOE to try and make this one work.
I mean, quite frankly, they're more than capable of doing it. Yeah, the Cypher to go ahead and kind of maybe have a can to watch things out. You get to check for the standard swarm grenades. Already got ahead and shut down to a certain degree, so you're going to see those not really being employed. And even then, an easy setup there for Burnt Turkey, the kind of top frame that we saw in that last game, looking for the last trade. And quite frankly, considering the stance Turkey had in that last match being the top frag, you're going to hold on to that title, and better yet, when you just win every single 1v1, you're expected to once again kind of climb the ladder. So another round underway, 5-1 sitting on the board, and even then after a good round being pulled out from Concordia, for with those last 2 players standing, it's another round right back to the dumpster where you say, okay, once again we'll reset, we're kind of knocked back down again, and we can't really go for that full buy just yet, considering the entire team economy is looking to be all over the place.
Yeah, it's not looking fantastic. I mean, at this point, you want to make sure that you're able to at least get somewhat stable weaponry, stabilize that economy a little bit more into this next round. I mean, we do see Concordia. They have that orbital strike. They do have that lockdown. 2 excellent tools to be able to get themselves onto site and then really just hold things down. But already an aggressive push from MSOE Sword. We see Taco Cat going through, is able to find one and immediately gets out.
The Siori, man, hard. Just once again getting aggressive every single time. I mean, the opportunity is provided, they just take it. But better yet, Animu doesn't have to go for these opportunities. Seems like they're seemingly handed to him on a plate.
Yeah, just hold that left mouse button down. Finds 3 heads with that Vandal. Usually the Phantom's the one that's supposed to be good at spraying, but the collateral damage doing way too much. And now Bright, in a 1v5 scenario, only has a Sheriff in hand, and it looks like the MSOE Swords, they're going to be chasing this one down. They want that additional ultimate orb, and Bright not looking too good. Karma going to be the one to be able to spot this one out first, and Bright goes down. It's a flawless round for the MSOE Swords as they're now 6-1.
Once again, hitting the halfway point here for the 12. Locked out of it, better yet. considering that, I mean, we now see at least one round on the side of Concordia pink, but even another timeout coming in fairly early, I'd say. Not nearly as early in that last game where we saw it was 4 rounds from NSOE. So, I mean, being 6, you kind of restrained yourself a little bit. Got to give them credit for that. But knowing once again you're going to be doing it off the back of what's now a full buy round once more. They're actually kind of using these opportunities, waiting for the ultimates to be present in their hands and then have all these resources available to them to kind of come up with a game plan instead of just kind of waiting for the future and just kind of taking things and figure stuff out. A step in the right direction. And even then, I mean, it kind of shows to a certain degree, but even more so, I mean, considering that, this timeout's going to be very, very expensive for because this is your one opportunity on this half. And if you see the same trend, it's not going to matter that much. 1 for 5 there on the board, that's a 10 for 2. You got to make sure to really make work of this thing and keep your players alive in whatever you're coming up with.
And it feels like this time around, at least Concordia St. Paul Pink are finding those opportunities a little bit more often. They're finding a chance where they're able to find a couple of kills, zone some people out, really get an opportunity to potentially win out the round. But some of the players on MSOE Swords, they're just finding these clutch moments, finding exact timings, knowing exactly where to look. Right now, it's just all so difficult for the St. Paul Pink to be able to scoop up some of these rounds. Going into this next one, though, Sabug looks like going for the heavy buy onto the operator. A little bit of a weird economy coming into this one. But MSOE Swords, they're ready for this.
I mean, off the back of a timeout, you got to feel confident about it. So, I mean, already going ahead for that B-long lineup. Problem is, the investment isn't really accumulated and worth it too much, considering that, well, that's a player in a lineup that you're just expecting to kind of have to fight. And you can win for an early pick, but even then, you get full control of B in the meantime. So you're saying at least something comes out of this to a certain degree, and an initial pick off the back of it as well.
Yeah, just utility for days. Anamu, of course, getting 2, make it 3, as they're all up into hookah right now, and Anamu can't be stopped except for the bullets that are in the gun as Sabug with the operator, putting it to work already. 2 players on each side remaining. Not a lot of health left for that Brimstone. He's gonna have to run in, get the spike, get out here, and we're gonna be seeing that rotation probably go all the way over to A side, or at least a regrouping, as St. Paul Pink, they're looking for an opportunity to get the spike down.
Yeah, a bit of a late introduction there for the operator, but better late than never, knowing that you can finally get that tick off and find at least a singular player. But even then, when you see the Brimstone, no heals available, and just sitting on 16 health in a dream, it really just comes down to that operator versus the world. You're going to be trying to cover that plant. Keep in mind, if you go for the rotation towards A, you're going to have players that are ready for it immediately, once again, as they love just swinging that spike plant going off and immediately finding that post-plant potential. Even then, just better yet, during mid-plant potential. So it's always a little bit more tricky, but already with Yori being present on site, you look for some cover. You go ahead, throw out maybe a clone when they get close, so you just look for a big play to be made at a certain point and just find that easy shutdown.
This could be kind of good. Keep in mind as well, there is a Viper's Pit online. Varsity very low here, walks out and actually just gets cut down immediately. Now Sabug only has this operator in hand, trying to make this one work, but the flash is going to be too good. An excellent retake coming in yet again from MSOE Swords as they find the defuse on this round and they drop that operator into the ground.
Again, just another one of the scenarios. As I said, I mean, as soon as that spike is going down, you're going to be seeing a push. They're not going to give you time to react. They're not going to give you time to set up. You're going to expect to be shooting your gun immediately once you had that spike down. Not even having a chance to move, quite frankly, and already, once again, it seemed like Concordia wasn't really prepared for it. It's always going to be present on the A side. B side was the only time you were able to actually get a spike down, so, I mean, considering, that seems like your best side of the map. It's easy to start on, don't get me wrong, but it hasn't seemed the most successful in the world. So, go ahead, get an inkling of an idea towards A. Go ahead and set up for that kind of default allocation, see what picks you can find, and maybe go for a rotation towards the B side because it's worked so well for you.
And yep, okay, Taco Cat already trying to get a little bit aggressive. Gets shut out with a guiding light. It's going to slow down the play a little bit. Abby able to now get that showstopper online. Does get suppressed, but shouldn't be that big of a deal. Taco Cat waiting for an opportunity as well to just pop that flash. This past couple of rounds, Concordia, they've been playing a little bit more faster here, and you can see the Swords trying to prepare for this one. As soon as that gets shut out here, goes wide, doesn't quite find anyone thanks to a little bit of a teleport coming in, and now it's going to be all the ultimates being tossed into the fray, trying to make sure that they win this round, but Atom Bomb already finds one.
Well, once again, initial picks, maybe no consequences already. Aggression are warding them. Once again, waiting for the post plant. If you don't want a player to immediately die and find yourself a post plant setup, hey, that's a way to do it. Deploy a lockdown, give a shut off.
No
but
way.
even then, you've already lost another player in the meantime. So 3v5, weapons aren't really there to be working with, but hey, I mean, there's still opportunities available, but you only have 2 players to make it happen.
Yeah, look at this. Those tricky angles have been kind of working out for Concordia, but unfortunately, it's not going to be simply enough. Now into a 1v3 scenario. The smoke is going to be dissipating. Taco Cat goes through the swing around, crouches down. 7 HP remains. And MSOE Swords, they come out on top. It was a nice attack from Concordia, but once again, they just can't quite stick that landing.
No more doubts.
I mean, again and again, and everything, you spent so much just to get that spike down. I mean, that was the most successful it could have been, quite frankly, considering that you had players able to go ahead and get those post-plant spots, but even then, one player was a little bit late to the cut, couldn't make it to the smoke, he lost another one in the meantime on the back of that, I mean, a first blood going out as well. So, I mean, it just seems like by the time the post-plant rolled around, you didn't have that Viper alive. You want a Brimstone and a Viper, quite frankly. You want to go for that post-plant. You want to be throwing that utility at the spike. You want to be just delaying and playing time, but they just didn't have enough time to really get it done. They didn't have enough players to get it done, quite frankly. Just the attendance wasn't there. And speaking of attendance, it seems like every ultimate for MSOE is showing up to the party.
Yeah, but to be fair, I don't think that they've been really using them unless they're in those dire situations here. Yeah, I mean, they've just been shutting it down with pure gunplay. You know that's got to feel nice. Especially, too, if you're going through an orbital strike, going to be starting things out here. Is Abby able to find a timing on the burnt turkey? Going to be one person down here, but they got to deal with Taco Cat. Not able to escape there as Abby finds that kill as well. This is looking actually pretty good for Concordia. They're suddenly into a 4v2 scenario. Atom Bomb looking for it. Able to shut it down. Makes it a 2v3 here. But now, we should be able to see the spike go down unless they try and rotate all the way over to the B site. Yep, use that Viper Spit. You also have the orbital strike to work off as well.
Yep. So you're just playing time once again, that same exact scenario. Probably a little bit of a consequence there, considering that you know that obviously that orbital strike was used for the defense, but this snow command could do just as much possibly. Knowing the kind of nerfs that came out for Viper Spits and what happened there, but even then, a shutdown's going to work. You just get a player that's going to be down, going ahead, biding time, like you know where players could be lurking about. But problem is, Atom Bomb is checking every single angle and not really opting to take too many gunfights. But it may work out to a certain degree. Orbital strike finally going down on top of that spike, so you can bide that time. And you didn't do it for the spike, per se, but you did do it for that player. So that's a shutdown to 3v1 that can be accomplished quite easily for a second round here for Concordia Pink.
Yeah, they're able to pick it up off the back of some very key ultimates there. But, you know, as soon as you got that numbers advantage, just pop down that Viper Spit. And you could tell that the players were lurking together. And I love to see a little bit of coordination come in like that. That way you make sure, you know, if someone gets lucky, finds a nice little headshot through that smoke, someone's going to be right there to follow up, especially, too, with your opponents being so weak inside the pit.
I mean, yeah, considering what we got going on so far, I mean, those ultimates, 2 of them being popped in that last round, and even then they were kind of, I would say one of them being preemptively popped, it kind of cost Burnt Turkey their life, knowing what we already seen on that player so far. Going ahead, being too busy on the iPad, and you see the shutdown coming through. That's a big player to go ahead and shut down pretty early on, but even then, better yet, a good player to exchange for early on as well with that Yoru being so aggressive. We talk about Burnt Turkey, he's going to show up once more.
As well, don't forget, Animu has been doing a fantastic job at just kind of anchoring things down as well. That fragment is going to be more than enough to deter Concordia St. Paul Pink to move to the other side of the map. But given the fact that, you know, a little bit of Killjoy utility getting set up here, Ominous Karma is aware and it decides to anchor things down. Swarm Grenade going to be going off here. We're going to have the Cyber Cage starting things out. The one way is going to be good. That drops down the spike. A Neural Theft coming in as well. As Seba goes to double dip. And now it's all up to Nunu. The information still going to be given the fact that Neural Theft was online. Has to go back for the spike in this 1v3 scenario. Nunu looking for an opportunity. Now the cavalry has arrived and no picks will be found as MSOE Swords. They shut down before it can even get planted. Now 9-2.
Just a dreadful kind of circumstance to ask from a player to go ahead and clutch up, especially in a sense like this where you're saying, look, find that third round, please, we need you to do it. This is one of the better opportunities we have because we don't really have buys too much anymore. We don't have ultimates on the side of Concordia Pink. This could more than likely be a 10-2 seeing how things are going and where the purchases are coming from. Your top player doesn't even have a full gun to work with, and maybe that could be somewhat of a kind of a trade-off. It could be a benefit per se, knowing that that player may not need those resources to find those picks. The problem is, the majority of Nunu's kills have come late in rounds or from somewhat relative lurks. We've only seen one round where Nunu really finds the opening shots and can kind of go into 1vx scenario. And it was there over towards B, but it was at the start of a round. It was a little bit of a split when the actual hit was going off towards an A site. You're catching rotations coming through rather than actually going for these upfront fights. And now in a scenario like this, you're asking for a lot, quite frankly.
No information found. The Viper Spit gets deployed. Makes things even more difficult for Concordia. Try and find a foot in the door. They're going to be exploring here. See what they can find. It's not going to be much. Atom Bomb with the judge now. Spotted someone out there, but actually gets shut down completely. Sabog able to find that one, and that's going to be an instrumental kill. Still, though, 2 members on site right now, looking for it, holding things down. Enemu in an excellent position, able to find Sabog here, as Abby is still lurking around on the back of the site. Nudu lines him up and knocks him down. Varsity finds yet another. And this is looking pretty good for Concordia. Last round in this half, Taco Cat has to clutch up. Dimensional Drift going to be activated. Scout everyone out. And keep in mind as well, 2 of these players are very low HP. Taco Cat going around on the deep lurk here. Spots out Nudu, finds that kill, but takes a little bit of damage as a result. Now down to this 1v2 scenario. Goes back up into heaven. That's the Yoru plays we like to see. Down to this 1v1 scenario now. Taco Cat up before the challenge. Goes to the TP around here. Doesn't have any idea where Abby might be. I'll be playing it a little bit further back, playing the intelligent one, as it's just a matter of time. Abby goes for the swing there, shuts it down. Taco Cat not going to be finding that kill, and Concordia St. Paul Pink, they find their third.
It's really clean potential, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. Good God, I was ready to freak out about that. But still, a 9-3 half. I mean, this is a relevant half, I'd say, considering that once again we talk about 3 being the bare minimum, because, I mean, it seems like it's always doable to a certain degree. And Concordia, we just got to see what their defensive side looks like here on Bind. I mean, it's happy to see this lineup kind of coming to true a little bit, knowing that even then we saw a completely flawless game inside of Ascent. So knowing that you even find some, better yet 3, and kind of say, this is doable. We just got to win this pistol round. The follow-up after that, the rest of the rounds don't really matter all that much. If we win these next 2, we can kind of find some potential, some relevancy, some presence in this game. And say, at the end of the day, we at least showed up.
I mean, they'd like to say a little bit more than that, and this is going to be the round that really just is going to predict how things might be able to go here.
Yeah.
One way or another. If MSOEs find this, they get themselves to double digits, they're not going to be looking good, but Concordia St. Paul Pink, they're starting to pick up a little bit more momentum here. I think it's starting to show in their gunplay. Their confidence swings. Just around the corner now, a guiding light going to be going in. Taco Cat, though, goes through the swing. It is going to be a trade, though. It's not the worst thing in the world, as the Swords got themselves set up to move in on B.
It looks so far. Another second pick off the back of that. Clean headshot to the head. Just kind of go ahead and knock that player down. But even then, once again, you get the read. You see another players toward showers. Where's the rest of the team? Oh, they're on the other side of the map. They couldn't care less. But even then, with the calls being made, there's decisions to be made, better yet. And what's going to be available to you? Well, quite frankly, no players over on the A site. Nobody's rotated. So kudos there to Concordia for not really flinching a muscle too much, knowing what's going to be present here on the other side of the map. And just kind of playing that presence, holding things down, waiting for the swings to come through. You got to look behind you, but it seems like nobody wants to until a kill's already made.
Yeah, a couple of trades going in on site right now, down to a 2v2. Abby down to a sliver of health, as that is going to be enough. And now a 1v2 here. Sabog has to come up big. Only has this classic. Looking the wrong way. Not able to find it. Never mind. Does find Dominus Karma. Down to a 1v1. And Sabog finds the kill. 30 HP. Able to pull that one off. Concordia St. Paul Pink find their first pistol round in this match.
And that's huge for him, right? I mean, this is the point where we talk about that 9-3. We talk about the relevancy, and it comes down to the pistol round. And even then, that's probably the most influential round of the entire game that we could really look at. Sure, that first round that we saw accumulate in general, say, oh, well, that's what really started things off, and saying that we're now kind of in this. We're here to play to a certain degree. But, I mean, even then, that pistol round's going to go ahead and create so much more for you. A second round off the back of that, you could even then find some potential maybe in the third round if you just kind of pull something crazy out and catch the players off guard. But even then, it's requiring for MSOE not to kind of fumble this opportunity. They can't let that third round go to waste, but yet they can't let these opportunities of initial engagements, they kind of just be splundered as well.
Yeah, Enemu tries to get it. Not able to really secure the kill there, but Nudu does take quite a bit of damage as a result, and it's a dip in, dip out type of scenario for the Concordia squad. They rightly are able to find that one kill, make things a lot more easier for them, and now you can see MSOE Swords. They're in a position where they're a little bit more uncomfortable. The first time we've seen the entire map, they're going to be moving in and taking that hookah control. But they do have Taco Cat all the way onto that A side as well. The Viper Wall going to get deployed here. It's going to be going up, and, well, actually, they're just going for a regroup before they re-hit the site.
Just looking for something here. Just trying to see if they can spread themselves out. Maybe go for maybe a free pick somewhere if it's just kind of presented itself, but you look at this wall set up on B, you know that either A player's there, or a player isn't. There's only 2 real options in every single encounter that you make, but already with the Spectre being sprayed out, it's an easy right click, and that's going to be picked up when a player pressured back towards that elbow saying, That's honestly real estate we can work with. That's pressure that we can capitalize on top of. That's a spike we can get down better yet, and a spectre that we can play with, depending on where that angle wants to be taken. Already, it's Burnt Turkey who picks it up. Best player to really pick that thing up in the meantime. Problem is, though, they fall fairly short, fairly quickly as well, resulting in the rest of the team able to just rush that on that last one.
Yeah, Concordia St. Paul Pink. They swarm around like ants, tasting a little bit of sugar on the sidewalk. They're able to find all those individual picks. They don't travel alone. They travel in a pack. And, well, they find another round. And it's now 5-9. They're slowly pulling things together here. But this is where MSOE Swords, they will be able to buy up their rifles coming into this next one. Given the fact that it was only 2 members dropping their guns on the last one, we are going to be seeing that bonus come through from Concordia St. Paul Pink. But they need to make magic strike again here, Mick.
I mean, this will be the time to do it, quite frankly. Couple guns carried over. 3, you had the majority of your rifling, something that's good for you, but keep in mind there's still specters. Well, we saw some setups, we saw some good potential, we saw some choke points being capitalized on top of it. Even better yet, we see that early information is being seeked, but is not being engaged, which is good. Look for that discipline. Don't swing these players. You know they're going to have Vandals. You know they're going to have Phantoms in a round like this. You know they're going to beat you in range 9 times out of 10. We see no Marshals being employed, no Guardians really present. It just comes down to the Buckies, the Spectres, to close range, and hope you can find those one-shots.
Oh, a little bit of a camera spotted out there, but actually a little bit of a Saybug spotted out there. Doesn't matter. Taco Cat now gets spotted as well. Everyone's just seeing a glimpse of everybody. Well, look at this. It's an excellent decoy coming through. Bright is forced back up here. Well, that ultimate orb does get scooped up. Patient play kind of working out right now. Never mind. Animu does fall down. Dropping down. Okay, Bright able to find it as well. It's going to be the spray and pray that is going to win the day thus far. Look at this. MSOE Swords. They have to rotate around. They got to put pressure onto the speed site, but they're walking into a Killjoy trap.
Most definitely are. Player present in the back of tube on site. Looking to go ahead and kind of get a free shutdown on a player who kind of overextends themselves. But I don't think they're going to cross that green line too much. I think they're going to stay on their respective side of the Viper wall, get the plan down in a fairly open opportunity, I'd say, and at least have some kind of backup in terms of attendance to see if you can find something there. And already you see the player swing, so you know the Vandal's going to be swinging out, and Nunu once again kind of trying to follow suit. 1 player remaining. They're going to have a Vandal, thankfully. They're going to have control of that spike for just a mere second before MSOE says, we're kind of sick of these games.
Yeah, and at that point, too, I feel like that really came down to that just initial gun difference at the start of the round. Sure, they did have that one Vandal, but they were kind of going in one by one. And that's when I complimented earlier about that Viper Spit, playing together, making sure to swing off of one another. MSOE Swords were definitely doing that on the site. They knew they had to stick together, play off for the trades, and they could win them. And Concordia St. Paul Pink, they kind of trickled in just one by one. And as a result, those Vandals are going to make a lot more of an impact with only a couple of bullets compared to those Spectres.
I mean, of course. I mean, already going ahead, look at these 4 rifle rounds kind of going in their way. A little bit of a tricky buy, I'd say, for a couple players here and there. But regardless, it feels pretty equal in terms of kind of where these eco buys are coming through and which one of these players are taking a sacrifice. But a big flash to go out initially, already looking for the presence on site inside of showers. Didn't lose the biggest gun in the world, so thankfully you still just kind of lost the Bucky. Nobody's going to want to pick that up. There's no real opportunity either with Concordia already having these full buys for whatever players are available for it. So with even then, damage done to Sky, that can't be re-healed. So, I mean, a lot of a good setup, I'd say, here for MSOE. Sure, they're lacking a player, but once again, all the resources you need, I'd say, are present. They are there on top of an extra kill.
Excellent read there. Abby going to be taken down. Bright in a little bit of trouble. That could have been dangerous. Able to escape off of that one, and as that Viper's Wall comes up, the spike will, in fact, go down. 4v4 scenario here. Almost equal weaponry across the board. Do see Concordia get themselves set up now for this retake. Moving in now. Looking for those angles. Dominus Karma able to find one there with the Bulldog. It's going to make things a little bit easier. Nunu, though, has to be the hero. Moving forwards. An excellent little guiding light. It's an excellent blind as well. They're coming in there. They're sweeping up. But it is going to be a little bit of a trade down to a 2v2 scenario here. Animu just holds their ground. Now down to a 1v2. Varsity so low HP as well. And keep in mind, too, this is the stall composition coming in. It's going to be the fragment that scares them out. And Animu finds those kills. As MSOE Swords, they take their 11th round.
Yeah, I mean, only 2 away now. Bye, not really present too much for the side of Concordia, so I mean, this round is going to be a toss, but it's going to have to be a little bit of a miracle if you want to keep this thing running along. I mean, sure, you're going to have all the time in the world to kind of go ahead and accumulate the likes of 7 back-to-back after this one, but even you'd like that safety net, you like that insurance, you'd like the little bit of breathing room here to kind of say, look, we can kind of stretch our wings and try some stuff and have that freedom there instead of just saying it's a one and done kind of scenario. So it really starts right here. This is kind of the start of the end times. You could have said that back at round 9, but even that's the start of the entire half, so you can't really go ahead and jump to the gun on that just yet. But still, so much time available, so much resources here for MSOE.
Oh no.
Concordia, they're just seeming to suffer through the likes of Smokes, and it's your Sky that got hit as well, looking to regrow. They're reminding him, that's Sky, girl. You're the one that needs the heals. Nobody else does, and you can't heal yourself, unfortunately.
Cutting through.
Look at this. It's going to be a very succinct attack coming through. The Dimensional Drift going to get activated now just to scout things out. Amali gets tossed down, blocking off one of the sight lines here. The information is given away. And yeah, just like that, MSOE swords, they storm the castle. No one is going to be even home. The utility usage so gosh darn good. Burnt Turkey isn't quite done yet. Able to find 2, not even on Thanksgiving, just around the corner as Mr. Taco Cat goes through the swing as well. All up to varsity, a 1v5 scenario. This site execute was as clean as they get, Mick.
Most definitely was. Once again, another sensible player trying to stay alive, but MSOE with a flawless result here in this round. It just kind of goes ahead and once again shows a testament to what they've accomplished in this game so far. A flawless entire first map, better yet, which is just insane. That's why I started for a second thinking, good God, it just never happens anymore. Already, once again, looking for another map. Just kind of go ahead and call this series quits. It only comes down to 1 round, while Concordia, these girls, they got to go ahead and accumulate back-to-back 7. It's going to be a difficult task, but hey, I'd say go ahead and at least go down fighting. This is a rifle round, and they can go ahead and do a lot more. It just comes down to whether or not they can really just find these opportunities available to them, which we've seen them do before.
Whoop, showstopper. Not going to be able to find too much there. Trying to go down swinging exactly like you said. And actually, I do like this. They're putting out a lot of pressure right now. Get that information, which is going to force the MSOE swords to really have to push up onto B. That should give the information to Concordia, though, that this is going to be the site that they need to reinforce, especially with that Killjoy turret going off now. We're going to be seeing the lockdown get tossed down as well. Concordia, they're locking the doors and telling them to walk away.
Slow and steady. Go ahead and hold these players out. Give an opportunity of kind of reflection. Figure out what's been hit, where these players could possibly be. Where you hear shots from, take attendance. Once again, break out that clipboard, get that pencil, and start to figure out where these players are going to be at. Well, you now go ahead and know at least one is over there towards that B site. Easy little snake bite to go ahead and follow up now, but what else is really present there? You hear shots, you hear feet stepping, you know it's probably a B hit, and you're safe to make that call for the rotation. You know, and every player's in the spawn of A, and already you can just surround the rest of these remaining girls like sharks.
Yeah, Saybug. She swings out just at the right time, able to find 2 picks onto the swords. Makes this attack more or less fall apart. They're just waiting out the sky smoke right now as Nunu takes a very advanced position. Just on the outside, is going to hop in. That information should be heard. Finds the crossfire of 3 members. Now the clock is ticking down. They have to make a move here. Keep in mind, Concordia, they also have the orbital strike just in case they need it. The engagement going to be coming through. A little bit of a miss time there. They walk out as well, looking for the kill. Varsity able to find one. Varsity looking for another atom bomb, actually finding that timing. And the swords will get that spike down. Yep, just enough time as they all flood in from hookah, like you said. And Concordia, they stay alive in this one. They're not done just quite yet.
Told you all they had to do is kind of hold out. Sure, they're not going to go down without fighting. And I mean, it's a good start to say, at least. Going ahead, find yourself 1. It's still 6 remaining between you and MSOE, but I think they're up to the task. Able to go ahead and close that first one out pretty cleanly. Sure, it took the likes of a lockdown, but you can't really go ahead and deny yourself too much because you had to use an ultimate. It's part of your kit. So, I mean, even if you have to rely on it sometimes, it's still just another piece being thrown out. And, well, you got plenty more opportunities to kind of go ahead and show them that what you're made of without it here in the rest of these remaining rounds. But even then, once more, it comes down to the setup. How are things going to occur? What's the hit going to look like from MSOE? And then, better yet, how is Concordia Ping going to react? And quite frankly, they don't have too much to react with. A Viper's Pit, the Seekers. I mean, you can go ahead and find yourself some AoE denial, some information fairly early on. But the one thing you want more than anything is a win. And you got to do whatever it takes.
Top of that, too, Nunu does have a judge in hand. It's an excellent little crossfire that's being set up in hookah right now. Between Nunu and Sabug, they should be able to find one, but it's going to be MSOE swords. Moving in on this A site. Made their way through showers already. Varsity kind of suspicious about it. Pulls out the molly. But now, timing is going to be just off a little bit here. Right in an excellent position. Able to find one, able to find 2. The flash going to be excellently timed just around there. And now this all kind of falls apart. Okay, Dominus Karma able to at least find one, making it 2v3. The information is known. Animu finds yet another swinging out yet again. It's a beautiful headshot, beautiful flick. Bright makes it down to this 1v1 scenario, sends out the Seekers. Doesn't matter, Dominus Karma from up top finds that final kill, and that's going to be MSOE Swords 13-6, winning out map number 2 and winning out the series.
I mean, obviously, Lovely Girls had a little bit of a game plan going on there. A lot of impressive starts, but Animu obviously just kind of working around that smoke, able to once again be that hero player that we've seen present during so many occasions. And that's really what it came